What's up, you guys? My name is Griff, and in this video, I'll be analyzing a match I played against a trapper while solo queuing. For perks, we're going to be running Adrenaline, which will instantly heal us 1 health state and essentially give us Sprint Burst for 5 seconds once the exit gates are powered. Resilience, which will give us 9% additional speed on almost every action in-game. Spine Chill, which will notify us when the killer is looking directly at us and standing within a 36-meter range, as well as give us 6% additional speed on almost every action in-game. And last but not least, we have Lithe, which will essentially give us Sprint Burst anytime we perform a rushed vault. So we end up getting Grim Pantry, which is a slightly survivor-sided map in my opinion. You have some pretty good buildings to work with, some decent windows and pallets, but there are some dead zones scattered around where it's much easier to get caught by the killer. I usually like to start out with the most central generator that I can find so that it becomes easier to spread out once it's finished, and while this generator I decided to work on isn't the most central on the map, it's still a pretty good place to start. Uh-oh. Hopefully Tap's not being taken down into the basement. Unfortunate. If the killer is a hag, trapper, or Bubba, it's gonna be pretty difficult to get both my teammate and myself out of basement without a scratch. So right here I start to hear the terror radius and see Spine Chill flashing. However, I know that this generator is of the utmost importance, so I stay on it until it is completely done. Well, that's not good. We're about to have 2 survivors in the basement against a trapper at 3 gens. Most of the time, this would be a death sentence. Once Nia gets hooked, I decide to start running towards Shack, hoping that there would be some window of opportunity where I can unhook my teammates before Trapper starts setting his traps up all around the area. At this point, I decide to throw Shack Pallet in hopes of giving Fang as much time as possible to get the unhooks. I then realize that Fang is going to need some extra time to get both of our teammates, so I decide to try and take a hit to waste more of the killer's time. Oh man, looks like Nia's down for the count. Oh, Decisive Strike. We somehow turned 2 of our teammates getting hooked in basement against a trapper to all 4 of us getting out of the area safely. At loops like these, some killers will continuously double back, waiting for you to throw the pallet so that you will be in a more compromised position, so if you find yourself in a situation like this, maybe try and wait a little bit before throwing the pallet to give yourself a higher chance of getting out of the loop alive. Once I'm sure Trapper has completely left the area, I decide to get back on the generator in hopes of making some significant progress on it. Alright, Tap, let's get healed up. Tap. Tap. Don't make this more difficult than it has to be. Oh, that's okay. I'll just wait here while you do the totem. Oh? Rubs? There we go. So here I make a mistake by not staying behind these big trees connected to the log. I instead try to hide behind the rock and trees where I don't have as much cover. I also should have crouched so there was no chance of Trapper seeing the top of my head. Now, there are definitely killers who would keep going through this pallet or even swing through it, but considering in our early chase Trapper just kept respecting pallets and doubling back, I had a feeling he would do the same sort of thing here. I decides that since I haven't been hooked yet, it would be a good idea to try and take a hit for Fang. For those of you who don't know, this structure is called the God Log. It is arguably one of the strongest loops in the game. If you're not playing against a Trapper or Hag, or a killer with Bamboozle who can block off the window, it is very easy to waste the killer's time here because of how long it takes them to get all the way around the log, and how difficult it is for them to mind game vaulting the window. Since the window at Godlog has been trapped, I need to find another spot where I can activate my Lithe. I decide to use Shack Window, which was a bit risky considering that most good trappers would have something set up there, but I got away with it. And then right here, I try to get a vantage point to see what generators have already been done and where the remaining generators are. As soon as I realize there's absolutely no chance of me being able to pick up my teammate, I run back towards the main building for safety. Now here I make a mistake by not staying hidden once the Trapper picked up my teammate, especially since there's someone hooked right next to him, and he could have easily dropped the survivor he was carrying, and then we would have been in a really sticky situation. Once I realize there's not enough time for me to disable the trap, I go around the far end of the log and head towards the only area nearby which could possibly have a pallet. Just like in my first chase against Trapper, I've come up to a pallet that puts you in a vulnerable position as you're throwing it. Once I see half of Trapper's body coming around the corner, I stand very slightly favoring the inward side of the pallet, and because it looks like he won't try to mind game, I decide to throw the pallet and then leave once he starts breaking it. Some might think this is a bit overkill, but whenever I'm playing against Trapper and I'm not in a chase, I will often crouch up to a window I intend to vault and make sure there's no trap around my side or the other side of the window. I will often do the same thing through narrow passageways as well. Oh man, looks like nobody got Nia. Logically, it would have made the most sense for Tap to get the save because he was uninjured, and I was also being chased for a little while right after Nia got hooked. The reason why I didn't immediately jump off the other side of the pier once I saw Trapper on the same level as me was because I wanted to wait until I had my life back. The reason I ran over here is sometimes there's a pallet between two trees like that. Not super often, but this is one of those dead zones I was talking about at the beginning. Now, I don't think Tap is going to run into either of those traps, considering they were set up right in front of him, but honestly, you never know with randos. Nothing fancy at all here, just using my life to make as much distance as I can, and hoping that he goes after Tap instead of me. As soon as Tap gets down here, I run as far away as I can from the gate, knowing that Trapper would probably be looking for me. The reason why I waited there for half a second before opening is in case the killer had Blood Warden. I wanted to make sure that the gate was not open before Tap got hooked. Thank you guys for watching. I will have another full match Survivor analysis video up by next week.